So I think firstly, just taking a step back, just apologies for the customer service and the billing delays. I think from our side, it's definitely not the standard that we aspire to, and definitely something we're not proud of right now. So we're all working really hard. This is the number one company priority to get our service levels and our billing back up to scratch. The billing and service kind of response are quite related. So maybe I'll just take a step back. Basically, about a year ago, we made a decision to change billing providers. The main reason being that our previous provider wasn't set up to scale with us. So just for context, we were probably around 30,000 customers at the time. We were their largest retailer on their platform. And we were constantly having issues around missing data, direct debits kind of failing, not going through, et cetera, et cetera.
Please contribute. It really helps my independent, honest journalism for you.
So we made a decision a year ago to go with the billing provider that essentially supports a customer with 1 million customers, or a retailer with 1 million customers. So from a scalability perspective, we feel like it gives us a long runway. It so happened that project was meant to finish the start of the year, but with all these kind of migrations, it got delayed. So it didn't finish until May this year. And there have been some technical challenges specifically with billing that have caused delays in the billings going out, and some accuracy issues that we're kind of working through. And I think we're much more comfortable where we are now than we were probably 6 months ago. Timing wise, it probably couldn't have been worse, because that also coincided with the battery rebate and a massive uptick in signups. Basically, from 1st of July, our signups went up 5x, right? Way more than we expected. So you can imagine in 1 month, it went from, let's say 1,000 to 5,000, and it's been consistently at that level since. And so that has probably just created a lot of stress on our systems, on our operations, which has led to both kind of the phone and email challenges and kind of getting prompt responses to our customers, but also the billing challenges as well. Specifically on the billing challenges, we actually think we're pretty close to where we were pre-migration. So a lot of the bills that have been delayed have been sent out. And then again, apologies to the customers that have had big bills come out. I think we've offered a lot of them credits for the delay. We're also offering payment plans, if they so wish, to make sure it's as smooth as possible. There are still some long tail, but it's in a much better state than it was probably 6 months ago. And I'm pretty confident going forward, there shouldn't be any major billing delays at a kind of a big customer impact. There will always be occasional ones. One of the things I've noticed since coming to the energy industry is actually billing is very hard. 80% of customers, their bills are very easy, but there is 20% where it's just very challenging with either missing data, or the setups aren't quite right with the kind of the meters. And those are the ones that we probably struggle with at the moment to get the bills out. Or, ones transitioning from a basic meter to a smart meter. There's just some nuances around getting those bills out. But we're working really, really hard. And I'm pretty confident that over the next kind of 3 to 6 months, we'll get the billing sorted and get everyone. There will always be a long tail. There are just complicated situations, but we want that to be 1% and not 5% of our customers. So we're working really hard. I'm hoping even before Easter, but obviously just want to manage some expectations that, some of these things, there are always unknowns that pop up, but we are trending in the right direction and working really hard to get that back on track for all our customers.
Okay. And then once they're a customer, delays of getting call and email answers.
Yeah, and it's true, right? Like there is a backlog. We're working through it, but the response times are just unacceptable from our end. So again, apologies, but it is definitely not the standards that we want to work towards, right? Or kind of set ourselves up. Maybe going into the reasons, and I kind of touched on it a little bit, is that we probably just underestimated the impact of the battery rebate, as I think everyone did, even the government. So, one is we didn't expect a 5x increase over 1 month. We thought maybe 2x, and we thought we'd be able to handle that. And secondly, even when the 5x increase happened, we thought, it's probably a little bit of kind of the back book, as in people were getting installs in May and June, but waiting for the rebate to activate, and it probably would die down. But that hasn't been true. It's probably actually got accelerated even more. So kind of our planning has been kind of, obviously the forecasts haven't been accurate. The other challenge we just have as a business, and kind of being very transparent, we are a startup, right? And as a startup, we are still loss making. And so sometimes it's very hard to be overly aggressive with hiring in case the numbers don't eventuate. And we have had that in the past where we're very bullish, it goes up for a couple of months and then suddenly it goes back down again. So all those factors probably played a part. I don't think it's an excuse. I wish we just don't aspire to these standards. We need to improve. But I just want to give people a bit of context that there are probably some of the challenges that we have faced kind of to ramp up and get the support levels we want. This is now the number one focus of our business. So we've probably increased our customer operations team by close to 50% over the last couple of months, and we're going to continue to aggressively hire. We're kind of going to be opening phone lines more so that we can get response times up very, very soon, as well as get through the backlog of kind of, customer support tickets as well as incoming tickets. Big focus for us as a business. We're also, investing in technological solutions where we can help people self-serve a lot more as well. But this is going to take a bit of time, right? It is going to take a bit of time. There's going to be kind of a bit of time until we get the responses rates to kind of the speediness that we want. So really just a massive apology. Thank you for bearing with us through this time. But we're working really, really hard to get everything back on. People sometimes describe this kind of phase of a startup where you're scaling up is like you're trying to build the plane while you're flying it. And it does feel like that. Like half the day I'm firefighting. Half the day I'm trying to be like, well, I also need to build stuff to scale. So I can't just keep firefighting. I need to be proactive. And it is a bit like that. And I think, unfortunately, some of our customers are not getting the best experience. And we definitely feel the pain. Like I think all of us are not happy at the state that the service levels are at, but we are working really, really hard to make sure we can bring it to kind of the level that we would be proud of as an organization.
Another underlying issue, your product is complicated. You have to deal with dozens of inverter brands, battery brands. All of them will want to be getting connected to Amber, which all takes effort because every single company has different API that they've got to link in with Amber and make sure the commands work, and people expect it to work perfectly. Most days it works fine, but it's not a perfect system.
Yeah, and I think you touched on some really valid points. I think the first is like the intersection between hardware and software is actually really hard. And we are probably the one that is playing that space the most. And it's really important. Like we want to be the company that can integrate with all the inverter brands, all the batteries, all the EV chargers, so that you can come to us and know that you can control your home in a smart way. But sometimes some of these things are out of our control, right? Like curtailment, sometimes it's not our fault. It's a hardware issue. Or it's a firmware update that kind of just breaks it. And we are going through some of those growing pains where, when you had maybe a couple of customers that are kind of early adopters, they're a bit more forgiving. But as you have hundreds and thousands of customers who kind of rely on to work, we feel the pain a bit more when these things go down. At the same time, we are probably having a bit more of a leverage on some of these hardware providers, right? Because we have more customers. And so we are now working with them actively to say, hey, like, this is not giving us a really good customer experience. How can we work together to make sure this is more robust and influence them on kind of the way they set up their APIs, the way they kind of do the firmware updates, the way they support the kind of the curtailment functions or various functions we need. That's going to be a journey, but I think as we grow and scale, we will just be able to work with these hardware companies a lot closer and have more influence and hopefully be able to provide that great customer experience. The second thing we're actively doing is actually just trying to be more transparent, and in general, trying to be more transparent around SmartShift and what's going on. And I think in the past, what we've noticed is that we kind of have these very generic error messages and no one really knows what's going on. It's like, oh, curtailment's not working. Is it me? Is it you? Is it hardware? I don't know what's going on, right? So we are working on just better in-app messaging to say, actually, if your curtailment's not working, we can almost try to give you some kind of level of self-diagnosis, right? Is there something an action you can take? Is there something we're aware of on the Amber side and we'd be very transparent about it? Or is it something actually hardware related? So really trying to be more transparent with our customers and try to explain a little bit more about what's going on, I think will help a bit more from a confidence level as well, rather than kind of these generic messages where it's like, something's not working, but I don't really know what to do or why.
A few more detailed things. I don't want to set up Home Assistant and train my family, but I would like more visibility into how SmartShift works.
I think the transparency is really important. And we have been on a journey, and unfortunately, it's probably taken a little bit of a back seat because of all the operational challenges. So now the team is kind of focused on the operational challenges. But there has been a journey where, like, we said, hey, like, first, let's actually fix up the descriptions of what SmartShift's actually doing, because I think some of the descriptions were actually just wrong. So that was kind of the focus early in the year. I think in Q1 was kind of, hey, let's focus on descriptions and make sure we're actually saying what SmartShift is doing. That's probably step number one. Step number two is then explain the why. Why is SmartShift actually taking this action? Because SmartShift clearly has some logic, and we need to surface and be like, it's taking this action because it thinks solar is going this way, your household is going this way, etc. So that's probably step two. And unfortunately, that's probably taking a bit of a backseat, but we wanted to kind of bring that transparency. Step three in parallel is actually to improve the forecasts, right? So I think there are some kind of feedbacks like, why is, SmartShift not charging my battery, even though it's cloudy? And there's a bunch of forecasts we use. So one is a solar forecast. Just like a year ago, we only had solar forecasting at a state level. So it's basically 5 data points in Australia. Recently, we've improved that to 70 data points in Australia. So it's a bit better than 5, right? But not not amazing. I can check with the tech team, but my understanding is that it's like around 70 points of data that we have around Australia. And then we also need to make sure that the solar forecasting at the household level is accurate. And obviously people have different size of systems, different kind of north facing, west facing, east facing, that type of stuff. And there's that optimization. So that's kind of one area we know we have to improve on the solar forecasting. And then the second part is the household load forecasting as well, which we know has limitations, and we also need to improve that as well. So I think first is like be transparent about why we're making decisions. Second is improve the forecast so we can make better decisions. And third is the profiling around how aggressive or how conservative do you want your settings to be, right? And just being very transparent. We know these are all issues. We hear about it on a regular basis from customers, want to get to it. It's probably been a bit delayed just because of some of the operational challenges. But I think once we get those sorted, these will be probably front of mind and next kind of cab of the rank. And both giving customers more selection on how aggressive and conservative they want to go, and also more transparency on kind of what that means. So like when you choose the aggressive option, what are the actual parameters you're dialing up and down, right? Is it the sell threshold? Is it kind of, hey, I'm okay to sell more even if I draw from the grid later because, I'm okay to take that risk. So those are some of the things that we want to be more transparent about and also have more profiles. But I think just kind of summarize, we definitely don't think SmartShift is where it needs to be. And there's a bunch of improvements we want to make. We'll definitely be talking to our customers about it.
What you're describing is the balancing act you're doing at trying to catch up whole customer service, but also time to invest in transparent decision making on the app and maybe easier controls.
Exactly, 100%. And I think, yes, we do get quite a lot of people asking, hey, why is it doing this? Why is it doing that? But right now, because we're adding like basically 5,000 customers a month, more of the questions are actually around onboarding. Why is my battery stuck? Why isn't it being onboarded? So we just need to really solve those. And I know it is a bit painful for existing customers, but I think if we can solve those, then we can get the service levels we need up to the right level for our existing customers, right? So it's a little bit of like that's kind of the logic. But yeah, 100%, we need to solve some of the root causes before, to try to reduce the incoming kind of support queries or questions that we get.
Yeah. One suggestion I have for viewers is find a friend who's already on Amber and get a referral code from them, or you get a referral code from me. I'll put one in the description. That will make your onboarding process more calm because you'll start off with some credit in your account.
Nice. And yeah, we're very keen for people to advocate referral. I don't know if you saw, but we actually have upped our referral credits. I think it's like 120 both ways now, but it's spread over 12 months. Something that's working really well, both for the customer and for us. And yeah, definitely keen to kind of have people use those referral credits to join Amber. And once again, just apologies to our customers. I know it definitely has not been the customer experience that we want you to experience, and I understand all the frustrations. But just letting you know, we are working really hard as a company to fix this. It is my number one priority. It is the CEO's number one priority. So it's the number one priority for a lot of the teams. And we're confident that, I can't guarantee a timeline, but I'm confident that we will be trending in the right direction and getting better and better over the next, few months.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot one thing causing confusion in customers. There's three kinds of things that affect pricing, which is usage, the grid fee, and then little fees like hedging fee, carbon offset, your $25, keep the business running. My suggestion is the usage thing, all of the costs and the benefits rolled in.
Yeah, 100%. So we've seen that a lot from feedback from customers, and we understand that right now it's only including the usage fee. So it doesn't include the daily fees, like the network fees, doesn't include demand, doesn't include Amber fees. Definitely something we want to get on to that. And then step two is actually some level of forecasting for the bill. So again, it's like a last 30 days view, which sometimes doesn't align with the billing period. So people are like, how does this number reconcile with my bill? So definitely something we're keen to work through. But it's a known issue, and it's something that we have some thoughts around, and hopefully we can get that into the app, not too far in the distant future. But yeah, that's great feedback and something we're consistently hearing from customers. And I do agree that like in general, like the last few years, we've probably been very focused on building the brains of Amber, right? How SmartShift works, how it integrates with AE mode, the wholesale market, how it integrates with inverters. But the next thing we're really trying to focus on is more like the user experience and the expectation setting around some of that. So a big focus on how do we make sure we set the expectations of the customer to be more aligned with the reality, both from a billing perspective, also from a troubleshooting perspective. So that's a big focus for us for the next kind of 12 months. So we've been doing a lot of work in the background. So one of the things we've been building is basically a shadow biller that can essentially estimate demand based on the usage of the customer. And so we have some ideas on how we can kind of work through that. So for example, the way demand works is basically like the highest usage for that month for a given period. So we could potentially do things like a watermark where it shows you what your high usage is each day based on demand. It's not like we have live usage, so you don't even know if you kind of hit your watermark or not until the day after. It's hard for kind of more mainstream customers to get their head around. It's very complicated, and we get a lot of customer inquiries like, "What is this charge? I don't understand what it is." And being very transparent, it is a network charge. It's nothing kind of that we have control over.
Yep.
Actually, where we want to get to, which again, this kind of biller has been the infrastructure, is actually to not even have that option, but just be like, hey, based on your historical usage for the last 12 months, we think this is the best tariff for you. We think you can save X based on the patterns of usage. That's where we'd like to get to, and we're pretty close from an infrastructure perspective. But again, obviously, the front end, some of the stuff has been delayed a little bit. But we'd love to have that capability. Like our mission is kind of be transparent, try to be on the customer side, charge this kind of fixed monthly fee, and kind of every other benefit goes to the customer, which I think works really, really well with this type of functionality as well. So watch your space, where it's something we're kind of actively working towards as well.
Mm, mm. Yeah. Every grid area will be different, but something I found early Amber users, I've explained to them, the buy price and the sell price and almost never going to be the same. There's going to be a gap because there's money that has to be paid to Ausgrid, to the billing companies, the transmission. It's very rare for it to be actually prices to be so low and negative that the retail price is actually zero.
So the delta is definitely there's always gonna exist, and like you said, it is due to like the network pricing, like the poles, the wires, some of the things like the carbon neutral kind of environmental certificates. That always is the delta. Um, again, this is actually very different state by state. So in South Australia, you actually see negative prices during the day quite often, even at the buy price, just because there's so much renewables in the grid. So South Australia is probably almost the model. They basically are running almost 100% renewables, and during the day you see massive amounts of negative pricing, which is really, really interesting. Um, I think in other states like Queensland, New South Wales, and Victoria, it's more seasonal. So I think in spring, the shoulder seasons like spring and autumn, you see a lot more of the negative pricing. But like you said, it's not consistent. Usually, when you see it is like on the weekend, right, where like the commercial kind of demand goes down, and there's a lot of sunshine or a lot of wind. So you see that probably more on the weekends rather than kind of every day during the week. But yeah, I think over time. Um, there should still be more kind of solar, more kind of wind to drive prices lower. But I think there's also the counter around more load being put onto the grid now. So, for example, as EVs get more popular, a lot of that EV load will probably charge during the day through solar. It's obviously free charging. So we may actually not see as much negative pricing over the medium to long term as kind of EVs the adoption kind of grows in Australia as well.
Thanks for your time, Neil. And
No, thank
thanks
you.
for
Really
not
appreciate
just
it.
saying no comment, because a lot of big companies, the PR rep would be, we're not saying anything. So it's really good that you're sort of getting upfront and addressing all these issues.
Yeah, it's been amazing, the demand. And yeah, again, apologies and just bear with us, but this is our number one priority. And we're hoping to kind of turn it around pretty fast. But thank you for your patience in the meantime. Really appreciate it. And thanks for having me on the show as well.
Thanks for liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos. It really helps me make more videos like this for you. And have a look at the suggested videos up above. I'm pretty sure you'll like those as well. Thanks, and see you later.